For a game that is so short, 120 balls, it's amazing that in the space of only 2 or 3 balls, that the game can swing on its head. Now, who gets the game to swing on its head in 2 or 3 balls? Has to be a bowler.
Only the bowlers.
Only a bowler. Among all those soldiers, there's only one king, man, and those are the fast bowlers.
The world knows him as Steyn. The celebrations, the aggression, the wickets, the Aussie crowds losing their mind. Especially that one loyal fan in Perth who made every match personal. But life has changed now. Julio has become a dad. The same man who used to terrify batters around the globe is now carrying bottles and changing nappies. My brother, Dale Steyn, welcome. Some of us know you as Julio. Let's start there. Where did the name stem from, Julio?
Vern, right here, actually. Who were we playing against? We were playing against someone. And it was, AB was kind of like, was kind of always calling me Dulio or Dulia or whatever. It was along those lines. And him and Ashwell were in the slips. And I was bowling gas. Yeah, I can't remember who it was against. It could have possibly been against the West Indies. And it kind of just like transitioned from Dulio to Dalio to Hooray to Julio, and that's what happened. And then it just kind of stuck after that game. And after that, like everyone just kind of recognized me as Julio. So, yeah.
I don't know why AB de Villiers is responsible for all these nicknames. I'm Chooks. I'm still up to today. I don't know why I'm being called Chooks, but
yeah,
it seems like an Afrikaner thing from up north.
Yeah.
Dale, I actually couldn't imagine visualizing you as a dad, to be honest with you.
Oh, thanks.
Because I can only picture you, obviously running in with that brand new kookaburra. But how's dad life treating you, brother?
Man, it is the best thing. I know a lot of parents say that, and it's quite cliched, but genuinely, like, it's been amazing. Like, I absolutely love it. I would argue and say that I wish I did it earlier in my life, you know, but then I wouldn't have had this little dude specifically, you know. And maybe if I did do it earlier in my life, it would have been slightly different because I would have been traveling and I would have been away, and that child would have had a different life, like a lot of on the road kind of stuff. Whereas now I'm retired, I'm at home a lot. Yes, I pop out for the odd tournament here and there for 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it is. But I'm at home 99.9% of the time. So it's so cool to have this little guy. He's turning 1 next week Tuesday, and he's walking, and he's not talking, but he's got the whole da out.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Man, it's, yeah. I don't think that there's ever been anything that I'm more, like, stoked about, you know? Like, and it's cliched, I get it. Like, I get it. It might sound, but it genuinely is, like, it's the best thing.
Yeah, I was actually going to touch on the point because I think a lot of people see you as this angry person. Obviously, I mean, you spoke about, you know, the white line fever. Once you get out there, it's all systems go. But there's just a different side to being a dad, isn't it? I mean, that little oak, that smile you get from him,
yeah,
you almost melt, and you have to soften up naturally.
You know, that's the thing, is that I think I've always been a bit of a soft person. Like, I portrayed this character on the cricket field. I thought it was important to do that. You know, cricket is a bunch of different things. It's a skill-based game, obviously. You've got to have good skills, whether it be bat or ball or something like that. But it's also an entertainment perspective of the game, you know, where you look at a particular player and you get the vibe off this player. It's either ultra-aggressive, and then you have to kind of come with an idea as how to combat that. Like, do you talk to him? Do you not talk to him? Do you avoid him? How do you get him fired up? You know, all these kinds of things. And I looked at somebody like Shane Warne, and I was like, this guy is the ultimate, like, showman, you know, and I wanted to steal aspects of his game, you know. I didn't want to abuse people personally, but I wanted to let them know that I didn't think they were any good, you know. 99% of the time I wanted to let them know, I'm better than you, you're no good, and I'm going to get you out for it. I was also going to show them this aggressive side, you know. If I hit them on the head or I hit them on the body or something like that, I'll tell them, I'm not going to apologize, you know, like, I want to hurt you. This is the whole point about being a fast bowler. I wanted to get the edge wherever I could, but that was all an act, You know, it was an act that I could put on out there. And when you walk off the field, sometimes you're a little bit drained from it. You know, like you're just like, wow, that took a lot out of me to pretend to be somebody that I'm not. You know, but in order to have that kind of success, that was the road that I had to follow. Somebody like Hashim didn't have to follow that road. He had a different way of doing things, like a silent warrior. Nothing bothered him, like, you know, water over a stone. He just worked you away quietly. I was the opposite. You know, I wanted to be in your face, and I wanted to get you out, and I wanted to hurt you. But then when I'm off the field, I'm not that kind of person. And you're right. You know, sometimes I'd walk into a supermarket where people would want to come and speak to me, and then I'd literally hear the parents say to their kids, "Don't go and speak to that guy. Hey, squat.
He's going to shout.
He's going to shout at you." And I'd be like, I'm not. You know. So yeah, you know, I think the game that's played out there is not always the person that you see on TV and everything like that. And that's why like having these shows and having these talks and everything like that really bridges the gap between perspective of who a person is and like who they truly are, what you think they are and who they truly are.
Yeah, I think it's such a wonderful point you make there, because I also illustrate the point that that's our states, that's where we need to perform. And I think the main art of what we do is to get batters out. I mean, you've had your way of doing it, obviously instill fear in some of these batters, and that's how sometimes, you know, you win that battle. I think very often there's a psychological battle, you know, within a battle as well. And I think you've alluded to the point where when you walk out there, that's your space. Tell us a little bit more about your experience over your career as a youngster walking out there, how the mental shift happened. I think obviously as a youngster you walk out there pretty nervous, then you get into your strides, having had a bit of success, obviously being a lot more confident. How's things played out for you over the years?
Well, you learn quickly like how to play the game. You know, that you learn very, very fast, because I think sometimes wanting to play for South Africa is a big deal. I'm going to represent my country. You know, like back in the day, I know my grandfather was a big rugby fan, so it was like if you represent South Africa, you're a Springbok. You know, you get your Springbok colours. You know, so it was this big thing, and I'd always watch players play around the world, whether it be soccer or other sports and everything like that. They would often hit their chest or grab their badge, and they'd be kissing it, and I wanted to do that when I got out on the field. This is what I saw people do, and that's what I wanted to do. You know, so I would. First couple games, I'm out there, I'm celebrating, I'm kissing the badge, I'm super excited. Meanwhile, I'm not doing my job, which is land the ball in the bloody right area and get the batter out. I was more concentrated on the achievement that I just achieved, which is representing your country and all of that comes with that. Once you get rid of that and you realize, okay, cool, I'm representing my country now, there's a business here, there's a job to be done here, because if you don't do your job, guess what happens? You're back to the domestic circuit, my friend, and the next guy is going to come and take your place. So you learn how to deal with those emotions when you first walk into the field. And then after the first couple of games, when you've learned those mistakes, then you start to figure it out. Okay, cool, I need to calm down a little bit. I need to focus more on this. I need to focus more on that if I want to be successful. I want to stay in this team. So what do I need to do to stay in this cricket team? And then you go through that kind of period there. And once you get good at that, then your true character starts to show little signs here and there. That celebration comes back, because now you feel you're confident that after the celebration you can land the ball in the right area. You know, now you start to show a little bit of flair. As a batter, you don't pull out the reverse sweep straight away. You know, you wait a couple games. Now, you know, I've got a couple runs under my belt. Now I'll pull out the reverse sweep. So as you start to play a little bit more of your true self comes out. And ultimately what happens is we get to the very end of the line, and we've got so much more left in the bag that we didn't showcase. And we kind of sit back and we go, you know, shit, man. When I played, I wished I bowled a couple more bounces. I wish I bowled a couple more around the wicket and did this. I wish I bowled and learned how to do this. But that's just the way it is. You know, that's just the way the game has panned out. And you can look back in your career and you can say, yes, I either did exceptionally well or I left a little bit in the bag. But we'll always feel like we could have done more. We could have put more out there. You know?
Well, the bounces are only for a few that had pace.
You had enough pace, bro. I used to tell you at mid-off all the time. All the time.
My bouncer was the surprise element.
That's what I used to tell you. Don't just there. You know, he knows it's coming. Skit him. You hit many a guy in the head, bro.
Yeah, no, obviously because they didn't expect it. But I think having played a lot of cricket with you, towards the latter end, I almost felt like you've managed your workload pretty well. I think you've obviously worked out how you're going to be effective with that new ball, so you look to swing the new ball, as opposed to when you come back in your middle spells when, you know, you get the angry, wild, entertainer looking to hit batters on the head. Just talk us a little bit through those gears and obviously understanding towards the latter end how to best utilize
Yeah, well, Richard Pybus.
those different spells. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Richard Pybus is probably one of the first coaches that I ever worked with from a mental point of view, where he started to train me mentally. He wasn't a fast bowler, but he started to train me mentally on how to use those gears. You know, it was the first time that I'd ever heard somebody use that kind of like assumption that you can't take a Ferrari like onto a dirt road, you know. But on the open road, a Ferrari's got 6 gears, and it still takes off in first gear, and then moves to second, it moves to third, and you work through your gears. And fast bowling is the same, you know. If today's pitch is a bit of a rough pitch and everything like that, then you've got to pull out the tractor. You know, you're only operating at like 4th gear or whatever it is, or 3rd gear, because that car can only operate in 3 gears, and you bowl these deliveries, so to speak. Now you're on a fast track. Now you're using a Ferrari. This road, this track can use 6 gears, but how you use those gears. And so I would break it down. New ball, I would go, I'm into my first couple gears. Within myself, 135, you know, just under 140. That's where I want to be. I want to be landing the ball in the right area, doing that thing. Let the ball do the main talking. Then as the ball got a little bit older, I'd start to up the speed a little bit, and I'd bring other elements of the game into it. I'd probably shorten my length a little bit. I'd go a couple more bounces potentially to try and get rid of the feet, and then go one up there when the ball's not swinging as much to try and get the batter to play a bad shot. Go through those gears, and then we get to the second new ball. Now at this point of the day, I'm firing. I've got the new ball under my belt already. I've got that down. I've got the pace under my belt. I've got the bouncer, and now I kind of combine the two, because there's probably only maybe 10 overs left in the day. With light, sometimes there's 8 overs left in the day. So I can now throw in all of that at the back end of the day and throw everything I've got at it to try and pick up 1 or 2 late wickets, so we can go to day 2 or whatever it is into the next day with a couple of wickets. So that's how I would kind of go through my paces.
I think such wonderful words from an absolute legend for you youngsters watching the show. Please do take note. Now I'm going to have to take you back to Perth.
Oh, which game?
The particular fan that I still think has your number script.
Oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're going to say. Carry on.
Because the name is not Dale.
Yes.
The name goes something to the following effect. Daryl.
Yes.
And, I mean, it's my first test I played with you in Perth. And I have not seen an angrier man in my life. I promise you, if you weren't going to pop a vein, you were either going to have a stroke, a heart attack. But I've never seen someone as angry as you in that particular moment. Please tell me why.
Man, these guys followed me around the world, I promise you. Genuinely, I'm not lying. And it started, I was down in Perth, and I can't remember the end, but I was in the far left side, and they would go, Daryl, like that. Daryl. And they'd go, Daryl. Daryl. And they would do it all day long. And I'd get so irritated. Eventually I called Zunaid, and who's our security. And normally when you get harassed or something like that, you can kind of pinpoint someone. You can be like, that guy, you know, he's swearing at me or whatever it is, get him out of here or move him, you know, because you're not there to deal with drunk people swearing at you or screaming at you. And he came down and he said, who is it? And I said, that entire stand, that whole stand, all 150 people over there, kick them out. I was furious. And they followed me around. It actually became quite funny, ultimately, because they came and watched other games. That started with South Africa, Australia, and they came and watched other games in 2015 during the World Cup when we were playing against the West Indies in Sydney, and they followed me around. And ultimately, they actually just became good guys, you know, and they nicknamed me Daryl. And wherever I went, they came and watched, and they would call it. And it was just literally that one day that I couldn't handle it. It was the first day too.
I think I could actually remember Sydney as well, because we had Masanda Lange that were marshalling the boundary, and I think he actually grabbed the one hook in front of his chest.
No, Melbourne.
Was it Melbourne?
Melbourne. He took the squeeze bottle, grabbed the guy by the chest, pulled him, and then squeezed the water in his face. And then in Afrikaans said to him, "Jy moet nou stop, anders gaan ek jou bliksem." And I was like, the guy don't understand Afrikaans, and then just pushed him back.
I think the grab in front of the chest should have said a lot. Look, I think we look and we talk about these fans around the globe. How much of that actually gets you going? I know some guys shy away from that sort of interaction. I remember Imran Tahir, in that particular World Cup, we're making reference to. He actually got asked to remove from a particular boundary where Oaks were having a go at him. But you almost look like the type of guy that, and I mean, having played with you, that the minute you get that sort of interaction, that just light the little fire or fuel or get you going.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got to play with the crowd too. Like Australia, I'm trying to think where I probably experienced the worst crowd. The worst crowd that I ever experienced may have even been in New Zealand, to be honest with you. Like one of those little grounds.
The
university grounds, The university guys, they come there, they bring their own couch from their house. They literally carry it from their house they put it there on the grass, and they just sit there the whole day and just abuse you. That's their modus operandi, is to come and abuse you the whole day. And there's not a lot of people there, so you can literally hear them. If they were sitting on the other side of the field, you could hear them abuse you. Like, just having a conversation with you, telling you how shit you are. Whereas if you're at a big stadium, Sydney, Perth, Melbourne, it gets lost in the crowd. The whole crowd will team up against you. They might go, ooh, or whatever it is. You can deal with that. It's the one-on-ones that I couldn't. So when I was in the big stadiums, and 90% of the time you are at the big stadium, you play the crowd. I'd hear the one guy scream to me, he'd be like, "You're shit Steyn," and then I'd turn around and I'd look at my pants as if to say, "Where have I got a shit stain on me?" And they would all laugh, and they would think that's the funniest thing ever. And then the other one was they'd call me cum Steyn, and I'd turn around and I'd look at the front and go like, "Where?" And then they thought that was funny too. So when you start playing them like that, you get them on your side. And then actually when you're bowling and you're bowling gas, and you're picking up a couple of wickets, even when you're in Australia and you walk down a fine leg, they're up on their feet, man. They're standing and they're applauding. And it doesn't matter if you just got David Warner out or Ricky Ponting. They're appreciative of the fact that you're engaging with them, you're allowing them to participate in the game, and you getting a result, they're getting a result, everybody's kind of winning. So if you can kind of feed and play off the crowd like that, that's great. But those smaller grounds, like New Zealand, you can keep it, bro. I do not want to go back there and play.
I remember, the one varsity venue we played at, and I remember also walking down to Fine Lake, and the guy goes, "Hey, Vern, give us a wave." And you go, "What the fuck are you waving at?"
Yeah, yeah.
But you talk about fast bowling. Look, I think that's probably one thing you can't teach guys. You as a fast bowler, do you wake up in the morning and say it's all systems go, or do you have to find your way into that sort of rhythm? Because, there were stages where I could bowl pretty rapidly as well, but, you feel the brunt of it afterwards, don't you?
It's not easy. When I'm talking to you, I'm actually talking to everybody else. Is that bowling fast is not easy. It requires effort, and something that a lot of fast bowlers, young fast bowlers, actually forget. So they come to me and they'll always say, like, Dale or coach, how do I get to bowl an extra 5 kilometers faster, And I'll often say to them, with a little bit of bloody effort, because you come to training, you operate it well within yourself, 70% of what you can actually give. How often do we actually go to the treadmill and put it on 20 kilometers an hour and sprint, or as fast as you can sprint? You never do that. You go there, you run comfortably. And fast bowling is the same. You've got to practice. You practice well within yourself. And yet when you walk onto the field and you have to play now, you're expected to bowl the fastest ball you've ever bowled in your life, every single game. Well, you can't if you're not practicing it. So when I trained, I would designate, I trained in a multitude of ways in which I practiced. Like some days I'd practice where I'm hitting a specific line and length, maybe we go into England, so I want to go a little bit fuller. Maybe I'm playing in India, I want to be a little bit shorter because it doesn't bounce as much. It's a Duke ball, it's a Cooker ball, it's an SG ball, whatever it is. And then other days I'm going, okay, cool, today I'm coming to practice because I need to train my body and remind my body how to bowl bloody fast. So I'm going to run in, I'm going to bowl as fast as I can. I don't care where the ball goes, whether it hits a side net, whether it hits the roof, it doesn't matter. But my body must be put under intense pressure today. And once I know what that feels like, then I can start to package it all together. We would bowl out here. We used to bowl 8 ball overs, not 6 ball overs. So you always had a little bit extra in the tank. Remember? So you got to train it, man. And yes, not everybody can do it. I think everybody can potentially go a little bit quicker within themselves. But not everybody can run the 100 meters under 10 seconds. You know, not everybody's going to be Usain Bolt. Not everybody can bowl 150, 160 k's an hour. Sometimes you just have to accept what you can and can't do. Faf, AB, myself, we're basically born around the same time, yourself, but I'm using them more as an example. We're roughly the same height, we're roughly the same weight. Between the two of them, AB and Faf, they couldn't bowl a delivery if you added the pace together as fast as what I could bowl. So physically they're capable, but they just can't do it. So you're either born with it or you don't.
Well, we spoke a little bit about Australia. Which other country brought out the best in you?
Yeah, I loved playing against Aussies. They were really good. Conditions were always kind of good. To be honest, I didn't like bowling in Australia. Like the wickets were like
they were good. Eh?
They were good, man. There's good bounce, wickets, and you know what it's like, man. Like you lean back, you cut, the ball flies, it goes for 4. You over pitch, it's too full. It's a road, you know. So I actually didn't quite enjoy playing in Australia, and I reckon the reason why the Australians have been so good with their fast bowlers is an intimidation factor. You know, you can go back to guys like Brett Lee, who was intimidating, Mitchell Johnson, who's incredibly intimidating, Shane Warne, who then would bowl with the spin aspect, the fear aspect. He allowed his other bowlers like a Gillespie and a McGrath to pick up wickets through like areas. But if they had a mediocre attack, man, you're fetching. You know, you are fetching there. So I didn't enjoy bowling there that much. But fortunately, we had a good attack. You know, we had some fear factor in Mornay with his height. We had great skill with yourself, landed the ball there. And then I had a little bit of both. You know, I could get the ball in the right area, but I had a little bit of pace about me too. So I bowled particularly well there. But India was somewhere that I enjoyed bowling because I felt like that brought me into the game. It was low, it was skiddy, and you target the stumps, man. And I'm not the tallest guy, so if you can bowl with wheels and you can hit the deck really hard, you can rattle the stumps, you can rattle the pads, you can find the odd edge with the new ball. And then if you bowl a bouncer, the guys are not really too sure whether to play it or duck because it kind of like, it gets on them a little bit quicker, you know. So I think I had the right height and right kind of pace to bowl in India, and hence why in the subcontinent I've actually bowled pretty well.
It's actually amazing that you point out subcontinent because you'd expect seam bowlers to almost pick South Africa, England, Australia. But I mean, like you said, probably some of the best wickets I've also bowled was in Australia. I think if a batter is in, it's so difficult to get him out because I suppose there's so many scoring opportunities at hand. But you talk about bowling in the subcontinent, it's such a big mental switch to flip. I mean, me that don't have the pace that you have, always felt, you know, it's probably a bigger landing area to err on, so batters can't get you away, but it's also equally difficult to pick up wickets. But I mean, you obviously had the pace to combat that.
Yeah. I think one of the best pieces of advice that was ever given to me when I went to the sub was Mark Boucher. He said to me, getting a guy caught at short cover or mid-wicket was as good as nicking a guy off to first slip in South Africa. And that stuck with me. Basically, that means I can get a batter out anywhere in the subcontinent. Because I think we kind of like categorize ourselves with the new ball, where we go, all right, cool, we can have 3 slips in a gully, and I'm going to bowl the new ball here, and I'm going to look to get LBW bowled and caught in those areas over there. You know, you kind of like, you've blocked yourself off. You've blocked your mind off too, because if you don't get a wicket there, then you're like, oh, where, you know, whereas in India, it's calling on all pockets, my friend. You know what I mean? I can get a guy caught at mid-off. I don't bloody care. You know, I get a guy caught at mid-on. I don't care. How do I get him caught? Well, there's a way in which you can get him caught. You know, you can bowl it slightly fuller. You can bowl it with a slower ball, whatever it is, and you can bring those areas into the game. Whereas maybe in South Africa and England, you kind of blocked yourself off to, this is the only areas that I'm going to get a wicket right now. If I get a wicket caught at mid-off, I'm lucky. Like, that wasn't part of the script, you know. So that's why bowling in India, you can get a guy anywhere, man. Caught short, caught third man, caught fine leg, it doesn't matter. But you plan for it. There is a plan to getting a guy out in India.
It's easier sitting here today talking about it, but just how difficult is it to drop that ego? Because we all know as fast bowlers, we'd want to see the ball fly to slip. We'd want to see those stumps being knocked over. But, you know, touring the subcontinent, you almost have to make peace with the batter is going to boss the game at some stage.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my question to you is, how difficult is it to drop that ego, man?
No, it was actually very easy, to be honest with you. As much as I liked hitting guys in the head and flooring them, to the way, say, like Mitchell Johnson did, and having this massive fear factor about you. Look, Mitchell Johnson will go down for me as a bowler that was probably one of the most scariest bowlers to ever face. Okay, during my period, maybe in the 80s and those West Indians and everything, that different story. But I never played against them and I never watched them live. My time was Mitchell Johnson. He was scary, man. He had the snore and it was just it was horrible. Okay, what I wanted though was I wanted that W column at the back of my figures to be loaded. That's where I was interested in, and I didn't care how I got them. You know, I can get them caught cover, I can get them caught third man, I can caught them fine leg, it didn't matter to me. But that's the area that I wanted to be remembered for. Yes, I brought in a little bit of pace and everything like that, all those kinds of things. But the ego disappeared for me. If you think about Johnson, you don't think about his wicket-taking ability. Yes, he took wickets. I get it. He bowled, there's a couple seasons that he took wickets, but he will go down in my mind as I'll wake up in the middle of the night going, oh shit, you know, he's standing in front of me with the ball, you know, fear. I wanted batters to wake up in the morning and go, this guy's going to get me out, you know, this guy's going to get me out, and anywhere. He can get me out anywhere, from mid-off all the way around to mid-on, you know, he can get me out anywhere. That's the kind of fear that I wanted to have in guys.
And it's amazing. I mean, you talk about Mitchell Johnson and the effect that he has. I mean, I remember the test match we played in Centurion where flipping hell, man, he cleaned our batters up.
Yeah.
And that boiled down to fear. But I suppose if you speak to any batter, they'll never speak about fear. They'll always speak about the bowler that could get you out.
No fear. I'm not scared. Yeah, sure.
I know that.
Yeah, Robbie P jumping around there. Can you remember?
Little brown white
Can't hit
underpants.
a moving target, Robbie P said.
That was actually funny.
Yes, dude.
So,
yeah.
I mean, just to give you guys a bit of in on that particular story. So we had Mitchell Johnson that bowled the speed of light. And Robin Peterson...
Just to add to that, he had hit Hash in the face, bang, and he had also just broken Ryan McLaren's arm, or he gave him a concussion. Yeah.
And because I remember I was actually betting with Robbie at the time, and for some reason, Mitchell Johnson decided to come around the wicket.
Yeah.
And the first ball he bowled him, I mean, it was so quick. Robbie walked all the way outside off stump, trying to flick him down to fine leg, but he had a deep square, fine leg on the boundary and a catching gully.
Still trying to hit the ball there.
And I still asked Robbie, I said, what are you trying to achieve here? And his response to me was, I'm going to be a moving target.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to be standing still, I'm going to be a dartboard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those are, I mean, I suppose also, I mean, he made no secret of it, Mitchell Johnson, that he wanted to eat you.
Yeah.
And he wanted to bodily harm you. So, yeah, Robbie obviously decided he's going to find a bit of an alternative way of dealing with matters. Yeah. You've been around the globe, Dalo. You've played some great series, but which one would you classify as emotionally draining?
Tough one, because I'm retired now, and it's a tough one to kind of go back on and think. I think emotions come in different forms. I think sometimes your biggest emotions are the ones that are happening off the field, you know. So if there's something going on in your family that, you know, the public are not aware of, your teammates even, and you are playing, and sometimes it can be an emotional series in terms of like the game is on the line, it's a hectic series against England, for example. There was a couple in the UK. But if you're going through something personally, it outweighs that tenfold, you know. So you don't even notice that kind of thing, you know. So I always felt like the emotional side for me was more from a personal side. If I was having an argument with my girlfriend at the time and I was playing a game, I didn't even know what was happening in the game. You know, I was just like that was what was playing its part of me. You know, I'd go out there and I'd put that cloak on, and I'd play, you know, Dale Steyn, the cricketer. But inside, like, that's what I was thinking about the whole time. You know, Graham Smith is talking to me, but the whole time I'm just thinking about what she said to me before I left for the ground, you know, or if my grandparents were ill or something like that. You know, I'm using silly examples, but those were for me way more emotional than the series that I played in. I really enjoyed playing in the series. Like, I didn't really care. Like, I didn't ever felt like it was on the line, like it mattered. But World Cups, every World Cup that I went to was pretty emotional. I must be honest, like, because you train, especially 50 over World Cups, because you got 4 years in between each one. You do 4 years of prep. First, you do the first 2 years of just getting over the last one that you didn't win. Okay. Then the next 2 years, you're training your mind to the fact that there's only one outcome, is that you're going to win this World Cup. Okay. Then you go through the whole process of playing and doing well and teams and staying in the team and everything. Then you go to the World Cup and then you don't win. I didn't practice that. I didn't foresee that. I didn't train for this. I didn't prepare for not winning the World Cup. So then the next few months, years even, that kind of sits with you a little bit. 2015 World Cup was the one that sat with me for a while. I didn't see any other outcome than winning that World Cup. That was the only outcome that I was preparing myself for, and we didn't. Probably took me 2 or 3 years of just kind of waltzing around in the wilderness, of not even knowing what's going on, just trying to get over what had happened in that World Cup. I can't tell you what series we played, how well I did, who we beat. It didn't matter, because I was still getting over that heartache. That was probably the one.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a. Yeah, I mean, I look back at it and you reflect on that moment, and I suppose for a year after that World Cup, after that moment, I mean, it's almost like the door just got shut on us.
Yep.
And you go, I mean, what do we do from here?
Yeah.
We've obviously all practiced hard. We had a pretty amazing run up until then, until the rain came down. And you almost felt when the rain came down, you go, oh, here we go again. That kind of feeling. But I don't want to take you back there, but let's talk about it. That moment, I mean, I can't imagine, how you had to deal with it. Because, I mean, you obviously bowled that last ball, it traveled out the ground, and it's almost like, boom.
Yeah.
Curtains closed.
Yeah. No, I've spoken about it before. Like, I felt like as the ball went over the rope, there was a moment of like, fuck, it's gone, But then it's fight or flight kind of kicks in, and the fight in me got me to stand back up. Grant Elliott obviously first helped me up, picked me up. And then the next thing that came into my mind was when I looked around, I could see in everyone's faces that they would now they were heartbroken, And I was like, put a smile on your face, shake the hands of the opposition, appreciate this cricket game that's just happened, walk into the dressing room and make sure that you do not show any emotion. There was a young Quinton de Kock, there was a David Miller, they were young guys, Show them that tomorrow the sun is going to come up, And I felt like I did that, especially in the dressing room. There's that moment where I look upset and people are saying, everyone was crying. I wasn't crying. Like, you can look, I wasn't crying. I was upset. But then after that, if you see me shaking every one of the New Zealand's hands, I've got a massive smile. It's faking it, but I've got a massive smile. So now it's like, I've got to pick up my teammates, And I did that, got into my room, and I think I broke my room down. I think I fucking smashed everything in my room. I was so pissed off, I was so angry. That's where the emotion really came out. Then the next day the sun came up and we kind of got on with it. What I think a lot of people don't realize is that you go then from there, you go and do whatever it is, and the next time you get together as a cricket team, it's like you get your email, okay, we're meeting on this day, it's a Monday, everyone gets in on the Sunday night, Monday morning, 9 o'clock. All right, boys, okay, cool. So the prep is we're playing against the West Indies, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like, are we not going to we're not going to talk about the elephant in the room? Like, there's nobody else. You get what I'm saying? And that is where I think I got a little bit bitter. I was a little bit sour about it for a while, is that I didn't think we addressed it, And we went from series to series and we did okay and everything like that, but I just didn't think that we addressed it because I was like, we just lost another World Cup, And it should be a big fucking deal. And we just moved on. And that's not how I think you should deal with it. But anyway, I think that teams are getting better at it and everything like that. And yet, at the end of the day, where we sit right now, South Africa haven't won a white ball World Cup. They've obviously World Test champions, which is fantastic. That's good. We got over that hurdle. But I still don't know if we address those situations any better than we have in the past.
Yeah, I think I have to elaborate a little bit on that point because 2019 World Cup, I was called up. There was a New Zealander that worked with the team from a psychological point of view, and I got asked, what were some of the hurdles to watch out for? And I said, to your point, we need to address why we didn't get across the line. And people need to be open. People need to be honest and say, you know what, yes, maybe I froze in that moment or what it is, because that's the only way you can unpack. And like you said, there was youngsters in that team, and it's for us elder statesmen to go back to them and say, cool, you know what, we don't want you to obviously, stumble in front of that hurdle again, but what are some of the important lessons that we can take away from that 2015 World Cup? Because I still feel it's probably in perhaps one of our better teams that we've had at World Cups. And I mean, there was obviously the weather element that came into play, but to your point of failure, and I can almost guarantee you, youngsters listening, watching, you're going to have more failures in your career.
Correct.
I'm guaranteeing you that.
Yeah.
But is there a way that you've dealt with it? Is there like a way that you've gone away from the game? Have you been open to failure? Or is it something that you've dealt with in the moment?
No, I was open to failure. The very first thing, a good friend of mine, David Upton's father, Francois Upton, said to me, he said, so you want to be a professional cricketer? And I said, yeah. And he said, that's exactly what he said to me. He said, well, I can guarantee you're going to have more failures than you'll have success. And he said, and if you're willing to accept those terms and those conditions, I can guarantee you also that you'll have a great career. And I said, well, I'm up for it. And my man, did I fail a lot,
Yeah.
And maybe it's worth a conversation for teams that go to World Cups, because let's be honest, there's 10 teams that go to a World Cup. There's only one team that's going to win it. 9 teams are going to go home with the same bloody questions. How the hell did we not win? And disappointed and everything like that. So it's worth a conversation somewhere along the line. But it was one that we never had, one that we never were prepared for. But I mean, in my life, like, you talk about, like, what do you do? I think having outside hobbies, things that you really enjoy, to take you away from the game and just humble you and bring you back to ground zero is so important. Like, if you live, breathe, sleep cricket, like many of the Indians do, and some of them have been incredibly successful. I mean, Virat Kohli, for one, the man lives cricket, man. There's not a second of the day that goes by that I don't think he thinks about cricket, and I might be speaking on his behalf, but he has a family, he's got a beautiful wife, and he's got kids and everything like that. But I can guarantee you that when he wakes up in the morning, the first thing he thinks about is hitting a kookaburra in the middle of the bat. He's not thinking about, I'm going to check on my son and my daughter and my wife. He probably is, and he will say he is, but he is born to play cricket. And that's why he has 1 billion followers on Instagram. That's why he's one of the most loved players around the world. That's why he does so well. But there's only one. There might be 1 or 2 others, but there's no room for everyone. So you need to find something else that keeps you away from those pressures. And I found that I loved surfing, I loved being outdoors, I loved fishing especially. And that's what I was most excited about. I mean, Morne and myself would often play. We'd play in Bangladesh. And I can remember the cameras were on us. We were on the big screen. And I remember listening at lunchtime to the commentators saying, oh, there's 2 fantastic, great bowlers, great test careers. They're probably talking about how they're going to get this batter out. But we were planning a tiger fishing trip. And whilst I was walking back to my mark, Morne was saying, so what lure do you use? And I'd say, we use the red one with the black and white and everything like that. And then I'd turn and I'd bowl. And I'd come back and he says, where can I buy that from? And I'd be like, you just got to order it from online, and then turn around and bowl. And on the big screen, they were thinking, these guys are talking about how to get this batter out. We were just talking about fishing. It's just the way to kind of bring you down and what you're excited about doing.
But it's amazing how that kind of chat actually works out in the middle, especially when matters are getting tense.
Yep.
I remember us playing a test match here against Australia as well, where they probably bossed us. Remember that flat surface we had here, and just to get you through those tough days, you find a bowler next to you that can talk absolute smut. I mean, it's got nothing to do with the actual game, but it takes your mind off what's happening out there whilst you obviously under a bit of intense pressure. You talk about fishing. I'm not sure when it was, the World Cup, where Russell Domingo took you guys out for a day in, what is the Mount Maunganui. Were you out on that boat as well?
No, didn't go.
Because I remember 2 of those guys coming back and said, we've actually spent 6 hours on that boat and haven't caught anything.
Russell has been promising me to take me fishing on his boat. The only time Russell's ever taken me fishing on his boat, was the day before I made my test debut. He took myself, he took Jock Rudolph, and he took Zander de Bruin. And all 3 of us got severely sunburned. We had no water on the boat. We were dehydrated. And the next day, I made my Test debut. And it was probably the dumbest thing that I'd ever done. And that was the last time that I've been fishing with Russell Domingo. And he coached us. I've known him since then. That was in 2003. And he hasn't taken me fishing since. That's 23 years since then. 23 years. He hasn't taken me fishing since. And he promises me all the time, "Hey, Dale, you must come and see the big fish that I've been catching." Oh, bullshit, bro. You do not, you lie. It's all AI.
I remember, I mean, he always talks about his fishing, but I suppose that's also him dealing with, the pressure that he's under from a coaching point of view. Look, we've had some fantastic series against some exciting opposition. Which opposition dressing room did you enjoy the most?
I mean, I enjoyed all of them. They were all good. Like, I'll give them that. The Aussies had their day, hey? Like, one of the best fines meetings. I've had a couple incredible fines meetings. Neil McKenzie was great in the change room. Fines meetings is what, at one stage, I felt like fines meetings is what I was playing for. Because fines meetings represented winning. And there was no better feeling in the game than winning. Winning was the goal. Yes, it's nice to get 5 wickets, it's nice to get a 10 for, it's nice to score 100, but winning was the goal, man. Like, you play a test series, to come out at the end, that's a lot of cricket, okay, whether it's 2 tests, 3 tests, 4 tests, 5, doesn't matter. You come out and you're celebrating like you've never experienced before, okay? And if you can get the opposition in there with you, even better. We beat Australia in Perth. It was Ricky Ponting's last test match. And we went across to them, we said, congrats boys. And they were having a bit of a debrief. So we popped back into our dressing room and we started our fines meeting. I'm pretty certain you were there. And they came in and we just said, okay, come. And between every South African, we put an Aussie. So it was a South African, Aussie, South African and Aussie. And not all of them came, but Ricky was there. Ricky wrote in his book, he said it was one of the best dressing room atmospheres that he's ever been a part of. And that wasn't because we were gloating or anything. We were just stoked. It was just a happy time, man. And you're sitting there and here's one of your heroes, Ricky Ponting, and making him down a drink and we're laughing at him. And there was a human element to it, And there's Hashim Amla next to him and we're making him down a milkshake, And there was this human element about the whole situation that you put all the personalities aside, you put all the war aside of 2 countries fighting against each other, and now we're just having an absolute jolt, That is what you play for. And that was one of the best fines meetings that I've ever been a part of. And we played one also in Durban where I can remember playing against New Zealand, and we beat them, and then we were shaking hands on the field. And one of the New Zealanders, I can't remember who it was, he came to us and the first thing he said to us, he said, "Are you having a fines meeting?" And we said, "Yeah, I guess so." And he said, "Great, we're coming." And he couldn't wait to come, man.
Are you thirsty?
Yeah, that was it. They just, could have been Colin Monroe. And they just couldn't wait to get into the dressing room and just be part of that kiss and everything. And we ended up driving out to Mslanga, hey?
Mslanga, yeah.
Yeah, and we stopped at McDonald's and we were throwing burgers at each car, and it was fun, dude. Like, this is how you make friends, you know what I mean? Acting like children, but it was fun.
Can you explain to someone sitting on the couch at home what fines meeting it exactly entails?
Okay, look, a fines meeting, like generally at the end of the game, what happens is your team will get together, have either beers or something like that. You'll sing songs. You'll sing the team song, for example. When the Proteas win, we've got a team song that's sung. You generally have a fines meeting when you win. But you can have one when you lose too. So it's just a post-match celebration or post-series celebration where you get together as a team. No phones. There's a bunch of rules in the fines meeting. It's run by one particular person, which is the fines chairman. He gets everybody in a circle, and you just have a bit of fun. There's often little silly rules where you sing. Everyone's got their own song. Ooh, ah, Vern McGrath. Ooh, ah, Vern McGrath. You had your song. Everybody has their songs. You stand up. You have 2 sips of your beer or your Coke or your water, or whatever it is, and then we move on. And most of the time, it's just a celebration of people doing well or whatnot, and it happens at the end of a game or at the end of a series.
Yeah, I think you make such a good point there where it's almost putting your perspective aside, putting your religion aside, and really come together and enjoy that moment. I mean, whether, I suppose, like you say, even the New Zealanders were more happier, and I mean, knowing that they wouldn't have won a series up until then, so they were just so happy just to partake in the festivities of, obviously, a winning team and a winning culture.
Yeah. I mean, just before you stop and move on to the next point, I've been at the IPL where Australian coaches came to me specifically, and said, Brew, we're halfway through the IPL, we're a little bit in the dumps now. Can you, after a game, even if we win or lose, can you start a little bit of a fines meeting? Because they were trying to find something that could spark the team together. And even they recognized what the importance of it was. And it's not about getting drunk. I think a lot of people think, you have a fines meeting like club games. I think club games, local club game in Cape Town or Pretoria, whatever it was, the goal was to get someone drunk. This is not the goal. The goal is to celebrate people's success and to have a good laugh about what's going on. We're professional at the end of the day. Doc Musaji was always there. If he felt like two guys were getting out of hand, he'd always walk in and say, it's enough for you right now. We've got a plane to catch in the morning. You've had your... And the guys would be like, that's perfect. They'd move on to a Coke or water or whatever it was. So it is to bring people together and try and get them to find something else that can just elevate them to the next level. And so much so that at the IPL, I was asked to do that. The Indians didn't quite get it, though.
There's an Afrikaans word for it.
Yeah.
You want to take a guess?
Yeah.
Gees.
Gees. Fuck.
Yeah, I think that's what it did. I mean, it gave us that momentum as a team to go forward and go out and enjoy ourselves. But I mean, you've been at the IPL. You've mentioned, obviously, being called upon to be the cheerleader. Which dressing room was the biggest circus for you?
Circus is in like bad? Or?
Yeah. Sometimes you get into a setup and things just don't gel.
Yeah. Vern, I actually played in quite a couple IPLs, I'm not going to lie, where I won wooden spoon. I came stone last. And I had a pretty good IPL career, I'm not going to lie, like from a personal point of view. I never won the IPL. Again, I never won a World Cup and never won an IPL. I don't even know why you want to talk to me. Seriously, there's other guys out there. But, just on that story, I mean, somebody like, I was in the mall the other day, and I'll get back to your question now, but I just want to have a little interlude here. I was in the mall the other day, I was walking with Dave Rundle, my manager, and this guy came up to us. I greeted him, said, how's it? Spoke to him for a quick 2 minutes, and he walked off. No one even cared about him, okay? And I said to Dave, do you know who that guy is? And Dave said, not a clue. I said, that's Craig Kisbetter. That guy was the man of the match in a World Cup final in Barbados for England. Okay, he's South African, but he went over. Yeah. I said, he's got a World Cup medal around his neck. Okay, he's walking through this mall. No one even knows who he is. So that day, for me, pointed out a few things. That winning major trophies and World Cups and everything is not the be-all and end-all. I think it's how you impact people's lives. Yes, I want to win a World Cup. It would have been nothing better than to win a World Cup, okay? But I think you want to impact people's lives, And he had an impact on people's lives, but nobody knows who he is. And then there you get myself, for example, or AB, for example. Never won an IPL, never won a World Cup, but are really well appreciated by the public, So you can't always get what you want. But, yeah, I mean, go back to your answer in the IPL. I played for a team, Gujarat Lions, where they were only there for like 2 years, something like that. It was when Chennai was booted and there was another team booted. They were there. Brad Hodge was the coach. Hodge is a nice guy. But because it was a new franchise and because the IPL was a couple years in, it was just a bit of a... I never played. I played one game. That was my circus IPL, that one.
You spoke a little bit about the advent of T20 cricket, you being on the losing side. Do you ever question your life choices sometimes being a fast bowler in that format?
No. I think that there's room, like there's so many batters, and the game is going to a place where, who knows, it's really uncharted waters right now where the game can go to with rule changes and what the scores are, close to 300 runs.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It's crazy. And I heard somebody say the other day, I wish I said this, but I heard somebody say the other day, for a game that is so short, 120 balls, it's amazing that in the space of only 2 or 3 balls that the game can swing on its head. Okay? Now, who gets the game to swing on its head in 2 or 3 balls? Has to be a bowler.
Only the bowlers.
It's only a bowler, okay? So you need someone to let go of the ball for the ball to get hit out of the ground in the first place, okay? And those are the guys that are going to change the game. So, yes, you can be the batters, you can be the best batters in the world, but I would certainly encourage people to be a bowler, because among all those soldiers, there's only one king, man, and those are the fast bowlers. That's it. End of story. And if you can be a good one and the best, you'll be the one that is spoken about all the time. You'll be the Achilles of everyone, man.
Which batter do you feel had your number?
Early days, it was Andrew Strauss, which is an odd one, isn't it? Like, people like Andrew Strauss, guy like averaged 40 in test matches, hardly played many ODIs. I didn't play against a lot of white ball against him, but I came across him in the very early stages of my career. As a matter of fact, I played my debut against him, and he did very well for England in that series here in South Africa. And then being left-handed, I wasn't as well skilled to left-handers then as I was at the back end of my career. So he became a bit of a thorn for me, and because we only played against England once every 2 or 3 years or 4 years or whatever it was, like, I'd then come up against him, and then I'd have either you or Mornay cleaning his chops up. So I wanted to get him out, but I never got that bloody opportunity, because I wanted that inner demon within myself to be.
I've knocked him over.
Yeah, like, I wanted to get rid of that stranger inside of me that was telling me that I couldn't do it. So he was somebody that just the name, I wanted to get the name. I don't think specifically carved me all around the park, and I was feared by him, but I wanted to get him out, and it was just something that stuck with me for a while. But there's some incredible batters. KP was somebody that could take the game on, like this. Chris Gale was another guy, that in the beginning stages of my career, left-handed, another guy, and ultra aggressive. He could change the game very quickly. Verinder Sehwag scored 300 against us in a day.
Luckily, I never played against him.
In a day, man. Okay, I got Kumar Sangakkara out on a no ball, drop catch at point, and then I bowled him off a no ball, and him and Mahela made a world record, like 700-run partnership. So there are players that we struggled, and I struggled against.
I remember you saying this to me when I entered that South African setup, because I've had that issue with no balls, and you actually pointed out your biggest lesson you've learned was against those Sri Lankans in Sri Lanka.
In Sri Lanka.
Talk us a little bit about, or through that. I mean, obviously you knocked him over pretty early, no ball.
So yeah.
And then the toil starts.
So it was all going well. We won the toss. We'll bat first. Thank you very much, because that's what you do, Yeah. And then they rolled us for 109, maybe 200 something. Who cares? Doesn't matter. But we were bowling on day one. We should have been bowling on the end of day 2. But anyway, we're bowling. So I got a wicket out. I got Jai Surya out, and I may have got somebody else out, Marvin Atapatio. So I felt like I was going. And then Sanga and Mahela got together. And then Sanga was on single digits, bro. He was like on 8. And I bowled him this cut ball, and he cut it straight to Jock Rudolph at point. Jock dropped him. Boom. Put him down. And back then, I was quite an aggressive bowler. It was something that I was working on. I was aggressive through my career, but I was an emotional bowler. Didn't know how to handle that part. Kicking the turf and swearing and screaming and shouting and whatever, walked back to my mark, ran in. I thought the next ball, I'm going to bowl as fast as I can. Very next ball, bowled. Okay. He drags on, bowled. Out. Stumps, bro. Bails off. There it is. Umpire. No ball.
Oh, my word.
No ball. So drop catch and then a no ball wicket. Okay. Then, these two guys got together. They batted the whole of day 2. They batted basically all of day 3 also.
My word.
We didn't sniff another wicket for almost 700 runs. You can check what it was. It was like, I think it's like 570 or 600 or whatever it is. Partnership, bro. That's what these two guys put on. And after that, that's another hard lesson you learn, where you go, all right, cool, another lesson that I've learned, to keep my foot behind the bloody line.
I mean, I've seen you obviously lose the plot a little bit, but never verbally. You've had a verbal altercation with a certain Michael Clark at this venue. I don't want you to tell us what you said, but what sparked that?
Well, what sparked it was that I can't remember the situation in the series, but we needed block it out to win to draw the series.
To draw it, yeah. I was
Yeah.
betting with you at the time, I think
Yeah.
it was.
And Clarkey was the captain, and I felt like he started to feel the pinch a little bit. And he was throwing his toys out a little bit at that period, you know. And I think as the game was drawing closer to the close of play, and we were getting closer to a draw, it was getting the extremes of the emotions was getting to him, and you know, he was bickering at his own players. He was then bickering at us because we would do things like call for gloves.
Yeah,
any opportunity, if we got hit, we would
waste a
call
bit of
for the
time,
physio.
yeah.
We were wasting time. You know, these are the things that you do to kind of like draw out a little bit of time to get your desired result. So he was then getting frustrated, and I can remember him saying some things, and ultimately, eventually, he said something along the lines that he was going to, you know, whatever, he was going to F me up or something like that because he was getting frustrated.
Desperate, yeah.
And a little bit desperate. And I say this all because it happened back then, but I mean, Clark is a wonderful guy. Like, we've just done the IPL together. Like, he's probably one of the nicest guys, you know. But like, on the cricket field, things happen, man. You know, it just is what it is. And I remember turning around to him and I just sprayed him and I said to him, I don't know if you know where you are, but look around, bro. Like, you're not in Australia, you know. Right here is where I'll take you on. Like, and I'll have a whole stadium to back me. But yeah, and then what happened was I actually got out, I got bowled, and then Mornay walked out, and I said to Mornay, you got one over to block, and then Vernon will block that over, and the game will be a draw. And he said, don't worry, I've got this. And the first ball, massive cover drive, stocker, and there was the series, lost. And then what happened was that Clarkey then, after that, you know, you're shaking hands. So now they've won. So now he's excited. There's a smile on his face. I'm angry because of what he said. Yeah. So we went down to go and shake hands. And he's laughing. And he's like, thanks for the game, mate. And then off he went. And I was like, that's not how this works. Yeah. We just had this verbal
big altercation
between the two of each other. Now, if we had drawn that game, he wouldn't have had that same I wouldn't have had that same reception at the handshake. So I was like, that's not how this works. So I needed to get that ironed out before we carried on any further in our lives. And we did. We ironed it out somewhere along the line, and it was all cool. But yeah, at that moment, it can show you the emotions of winning versus losing and where you sit with and how you handle that.
Yeah, I think that's just the Aussie way, isn't it? I mean, I've worked with Matthew Hayden, and when you listen to them speak, they don't care how they get it done. It's about getting the job done. And I think you speak about the mentality entering World Cups. And I suppose you look, and I mean, yes, we can have a go at these guys for the way they play, for the things they do out in the field. But they just have a knack of knowing how to win, don't they?
Yeah, they've got an incredible self-belief. Something that I think South Africans, we lack a little bit. You know, we've had some incredible players that have come through and show that, like that self-belief, like I am the guy, and you know, they go on to do amazing things. But as a nation, I think we're quite a humbling nation, quite accepting. Mm-hmm. You know, we're like, oh, it's fine. Come on, you know, whatever it is. They're not like that at all. You know, then you go there. There's a team of 11 guys. They're all almost exactly the same person. They all want to outdo their mate. They all want to do better than their mate, and they're not scared to tell their mate either that I'm going to do better than you. There wasn't that. I didn't go into the dressing room and walk out the dressing room and say, Vernon, I'm going to bowl better than you today, you know. Or I was upset if you took wickets and I didn't take wickets. It wasn't like that, you know. But for them, it is like that. They are going to do better than their mate. That's just how they do. And I think when it comes to a World Cup, that works well for them, you know, because that's what gets them to where they want to be. And they've won many a World Cup before. But, I mean, we've all watched that old movie, Cool Runnings, you know. Like, you have to be who you are, you know. If you're the Jamaican bobsleigh team, you cannot pretend to be the Swiss. It's not going to work for you. We are South Africans. We do a South African way. Do not do it the Aussie way. But we can look at it, admire it, and steal one or two things. But we cannot become their way.
Well, Julio, we've seen Julio the fast bowler, fisherman.
We didn't talk enough about fishing.
The skateboarder, the surfer, the dad. Go on then, give me the best version. Which one do you enjoy the most?
This one right now, like currently right now. Again, I know people are going to say, it's so cliched. Of course he was going to choose it, you know. But Vern, I swear there's nothing better. Like, I absolutely love it. You know, like, I can't wait for this little dude to get a little bit older so that he can surf, so that he can enjoy the things that like my grandfather taught me, that I do with my dad now. I mean, every day he's driving my Land Rover, my Defender. You know, that's going to be his birthday present one day. You know, like, you can keep all this other stuff. Like, I'm privileged that I'm able to sit here and talk to you and like talk to people and everything like that. But I think that's the coolest thing, man. Like, this is the next thing. This is the best.
You travel the world as probably much as what you used to travel fishing. Give me your favorite trip and why.
Okay,
I mean, I know one of your favorite mates are Quentin de Kock.
Yeah.
So I won't go into that too deep, but...
I'm also a better fisherman than Quinny, just saying.
Cool when you've heard it. Yeah, give me your favorite fishing trip and why.
So we go to the Amazon. The Bolivian Amazon is amazing. The Brazilian Amazon is slightly different. The Brazilian Amazon is more of like a wider stretched river, deeper river, lots of big caiman. Caiman is like crocodiles. They're big, eh? People think caiman's small. No, they're big, man. They're like from here to that table, they're huge. The Bolivian Amazon jungle is a very dense jungle. Trees go straight up like this. The river is like pebbles and rocks from this big to massive boulders, and the water doesn't get deeper than from ankle at some stages, some areas, to about shoulder deep. Crystal clear water. Nothing in the water that can kill you. In terms of like crocodile, caiman, or alligator and caiman, but everything else will. Jaguar, spiders, snakes. You cannot touch a tree. It's insane. You've never been more alive in your life than when you are in that environment. Because when you go to sleep at night, you are shitting yourself that there's something in your bed. When you wake up in the morning, you're worried that there's something in your boot. You can hear everything. The jungle comes alive, and for a moment you feel like you are thrown back 6,000 years ago, because we become quite numb to what the world is now. We get in our car, we listen to music in the car, we're driving in traffic, and life is just, it is what it is. It's when you're thrown into that situation right there that you realize that's living. So I would say, yeah, the Amazon, the Bolivian Amazon is my favorite place.
Geez, you're sending shivers down my spine here. Obviously, I mean, I love the bush. I love the Kruger, so I try and go up there once a year. But I mean, nothing to that effect. Skateboard, surfboard?
Skated from when I was 13. I started skateboarding, and skated right up until I was like 20, and genuinely thought that skateboarding was going to be something that I wanted to pursue. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Like, I played cricket, and I was really good at cricket, but I wanted to become a professional skateboarder. I know that sounds strange, okay? Maybe less so today than what it was when I was doing it. Because back when I was doing it, there was no Instagram, there was no Twitter and that kind of thing. So it was like, you want to do what? You know, whereas today, like, probably the people that we look at the most are like your skateboarders, your artists, as in artists, like singers, surfers. When we are dressing, like, oh, let's have a look at how they dress and we'll see what we wear. Vans back then was like this hidden gem. You know, you couldn't buy. Now every single person is wearing a pair of Vans. It's a skateboarding shoe, okay? So, you know, for all those people that mock me, you are now what I wanted to be, okay? Yeah. So, yeah, I skateboarded all those years and everything like that. And then when I moved to Cape Town, I started surfing because water was a lot softer than cement. And
was it?
Yeah. So I surf now, and now since I've retired, I started skating a little bit again. But I can't do what I used to do. You know, I also don't want to get hurt. So yeah.
Yeah. You talk about cement. You talk about being out in a cricket field, cricket bruise, or a little scrape from the skateboard.
No, listen, cricket you'll always recover. Skateboarding, every single day when I walked out, I was like, there's a chance that today I could be going to hospital. You know, like break a leg, break an ankle, go down a 10-stair handrail and like really hurt yourself, you know. So skateboarding, like, scary, way more scarier. and I think where I get a lot of cricket, like, people are like, what do you learn from it? And this is one thing that I do want to touch on before we finish up, because I know I talk a lot. But skateboarding, one thing skateboarding taught me was visualization. You know, like, if I was looking at a set of stairs And back then, when I could skate like stairs, like 10 stairs or something like that, it's a lot of stairs. You literally had to see it in my mind. I had to be like, cool, I'm rolling up. How fast am I rolling up? There I flick, I catch the board, both feet on the board, land, bend my knees, roll away. Like you have to visualize it. If you can't see it in your mind's eye, you're not going to do it, okay? And then when it came to cricket, it was easy because I was standing at the top of my mark and I'm like, cool, I'm going to run in. I can see it already. I'm going to run in. I'm going to shape the ball over there. I'm going to find the outside edge. Just going to go to Graham Smith at first slip. That was visualization. I learned that from skateboarding. Nobody taught me that in cricket. So when I started to pick up wickets, how do you do that? That's because I can see it happening before I've even tried to do it, you know. So that's what skateboarding kind of helped me with. And then also the toughness aspect. You fall and you fail
You have to get back
way more in skateboarding, just like cricket. Like you don't land every trick. You go in, you practice, and you miss it, and you miss it, and you miss it, and eventually you get it right, and you roll away. And bowling is the same thing. I bowl and I don't get a wicket. I bowl, and eventually I get a wicket. And it's exactly the same thing. It's just applying those disciplines in a different way.
The next segment is, we call it Flip the Script, so you get to ask me questions.
Oh, jeepers. How much time you got, Ben?
Well, you can fire away.
Post-cricket, Vernon Philander. Okay, so what I know about Vernon Philander when I was growing up, man loved cars, okay, and he loved the business deal. Somewhere along the line, Vernon Philander, for the cameras, where's my camera? That camera, there's other cameras, but for the cameras, for the people out there, Vernon Philander, if you wanted something done, I would phone Vernon. I'd be like, VDP, I'm going up to Joburg and I need a car. He'd be like, Chooks, give me 5 minutes. Boom, there, someone sort me out a car. VDP, listen, I'm going to this place and I need a hotel room. Hang on, give me 5 minutes. Boom, this guy will sort you out. What does post-retirement look like for Vernon Philander?
Well, you didn't have to guess too far. I suppose you obviously make mention of the fact that I love cars. I've stepped into the automotive business. I've got a mag and wheel repair center.
No, I could have guessed it. I could have guessed it.
So yeah, we've got quite a nice plant.
Can you give me your card when we leave here by any chance?
I'm in business with the Italian guy, so starting to pick up nicely. I think obviously, once you enter the business arena, I mean, you'd know, especially as a fresh business, you have to go obviously the baby steps. But yeah, enjoying dealing with clients. I mean, you get the fussy ones every now and again. But yeah, I suppose the transition from playing days to where we are now, I suppose you always have to have that mechanism to fall back onto. And yeah, initially you have to get there, but sometimes you get there the hard way. But I really enjoyed, making that transition from obviously a commentator as well. So yeah, I mean, it's nice to be still part of the game, but also to have other ventures that you keep yourself busy with.
Okay, so you love cars. I remember you had a model of the AC Cobra. Do you still have that car?
I'm not selling that.
You're not selling that?
I'm not selling that. It's giving me a bit of a headache at the moment.
Just like every Land Rover Defender's ever given me a headache.
Because it's been with my mechanic for probably 6 months. I gave it to a mate of mine that drove his daughter to a matric ball.
Yeah.
Came back, blew both gaskets. So, yeah, a bit of an irritable time with that car, but it's really my love child. So.
Okay. And then what other car do you drive? I mean, like, I love cars too. Like, motorbikes and cars. Like,
look, I had a Grand Cabrio Maserati.
Yeah.
But I sold it.
Can you fit your golf clubs in that car?
Nice little run around. I am actually thinking of going back to a bucky, to be quite honest with you. I think as sportsmen and as guys with kids, you're going to get there.
Yes, throw everything in the back.
The bike and everything, you need space, and not pretty space. You need space where you can literally just toss things and just get on with life.
Yeah. What you playing off right now? What handicap?
Julio, it's probably...
Because your golfers always lie about your handicaps.
It's probably a conversation I don't want to have with you right now. Because my golf is in the trenches, I promise. You know I'm an avid golfer.
But you say your golf is in the trenches, you would still outplay 99% of all the players that
I guarantee you. If you want to make money against me, now's the time to do so. Because my golf is not in a good space. But I mean, I enjoy golf. I mean, that's my relief. I mean, that's, me getting out and unleashing all the stresses of life. To be out there for 5-6 hours. Yes, I know it's a long time, but I mean, that's my space. That's my time. That's the way that I unclock, every bit of stress that's on my shoulders. So thoroughly enjoyed it. But like I said, my game is in not a good space at the moment.
How often then are you on the golf course? Most people go, okay, you must live the best life or whatever it is. But you don't often. Like, I love fishing, but I fish once every now and then, So golf is a little bit easier because you can sneak out and have a couple on the driving range, but...
that's where I am now.
Yeah.
Once every now and again.
Yeah.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, when I used to play and I used to enjoy it, I used to try and get out there once, twice a week. Now, if I play once a month, I'm happy.
Really?
I'm not happy, but I'm fortunate. But yeah, like I say, it's also that transition, you know, when you step into business, you know, undertaking that you need to make this happen.
Yes.
So you push golf to the side and, I mean, obviously focus on what needs to happen right now. But I'm sure I'll get back to my 2 rounds a week.
I'm always interested. Like, whenever I get into an Uber, I always go, it's probably the worst question to ask. I always say, have you ever driven someone famous? Like, I always want to know, like, who they've come across. So now, like, for you, who is the most famous golfer? Or not famous, but, like, who's the person that, like, somebody would be like, wow, I didn't know they played golf and I didn't know they played that well. Like, who have you played with, like, that aspect?
Geez, I tell you what, I played with this guy, Sam Torrance. I don't know if you know who it is. And Standard Bank invited me to a business do at Fancourt. And this guy jumped into the buggy with me. And you know how a professional golfer will tell you the shape that they're going to hit. And this guy was sitting on the cart next to me. And I mean, he knew who I was. But he's much older than me. At the time, Sam must have been early 60s. And he said, you know what? This part 2, I'm going to hit a slight cut to the middle of the green, the green sloping to the right, so you need to hit it in the middle of the green. And he hit the exact shot. And the next tee box, he said, look, you're going to have to hit a draw on this because you need to take some of, you know, the elements on the right out of it. And I go, who the hell is this oak?
Yeah.
And, I mean, the curiosity kid in me, obviously, like, I mean, this oak must be some big deal, right? And for 9 holes, speaking to him, and instead of asking him, you know, but who the hell are you actually?
Yeah.
I walked up to Callis in the halfway house and said, hey, who the hell is this oak? He said, that's the Ryder Cup captain, you idiot. So, yeah, I mean, from a golfing perspective, that's probably the biggest guy I've played with.
Yeah, it's sometimes better to, like, meet these people than not know who they are. I mean, so often when I meet people and they go, oh, I believe you're a cricketer. Like, I don't know anything about cricket. And I'm like, that's better.
Better,
you know what I
much
mean?
better, yeah.
Because now we're going to get to know each other from zero.
Yeah.
You know, you're a zero. I don't know who you are. I'm zero. You don't know who I am. And yeah, we can build a relationship. So, but my last final question for you right now. Where I'm sitting right now, I'm fortunate enough to look and see there's the honors board over there. And fuck, bro, every single time I look, I'm looking for my own name. The only name I see there is V. Philander, 5 for 15. V. Philander, 5 for 7. V. Philander, 6 for 59. Like, it just keeps coming. V. Philander, 6 for 42. Out of all of that, which is your best one?
Well, I don't think it's going to be a better one than making my debut here. And I think you and I had that conversation.
It's a great story.
You and I had that conversation. So Australia batted first. They got 287 or whatever they got. We then got rolled for 90, just early 90s. And I remember having this chat to you and coming down those stairs. I said to you, I think if we can bowl them out for 150, we've got a chance. And I remember you vividly still laughing at me like, no, bro, you're dreaming. And me walking down to Fine Leg where Murph Hughes had his touring groups. And, I mean, you bowled the first over from the Kelvin Grove end. And
But I want to touch on that when you finished.
yeah,
please.
and
Yeah.
I picked up my water and, I mean, I looked up and, I mean, here's this Australian group and they, yeah, Mike, you're pretty much fucked, aren't you? And, I mean, there's nothing you can say, right? Because we pretty much 180 behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
But at 21 for 9, I walked back to the very spot, right? And there was 2 South African kids that were sitting in front there. And they just went, fuck you, Aussies. So, I mean, to look back at that honours board, yeah, I mean, that game would stand out.
Yeah.
I mean, head and shoulders for me.
So I just want to come in here. So Vernon's obviously making his debut. So we bowl first, eh? Yeah,
We
they
bowl
make.
first, yeah, they've got 280
So
something.
Vern comes to me and he says, "Listen, Chooks, yes, I'm a bit nervous." So I said, "Well, how can I accommodate you?" Vern says, "Well, when I play domestically for the Cobras, I always bowl from this end over here." So I go, "You mean my end?" So he goes, "Yeah, I like bowling from this end. Is there any chance, you know, that I can bowl from this side, you can bowl from the opposite side?" And I figured to myself, "Oh, sure, you know, like, it's fine for this game. I'll start from the Calvin Grove end." And, you know, the man goes there and cleans out Australia. And then for the rest of my bloody career, whenever we played here in Cape Town, I'd bowl 3 overs from the Calvin Grove end and then tell whoever the captain was that that's me, I'm done, so that I could follow Vernon from, what's this end again? This is
Wynberg end.
The Wynberg end, so that I can follow Vernon from the Wynberg end because it was my preferred end. And I lost my end just like that in one game. Why is it that, what makes the Wynberg end so much better than the Calvin Grove end?
So, I mean, in my early playing days here, I mean, obviously Rory used to love bowling from this end as well. And then once you understand, obviously, what the surface offered up, I think for me, what I found from the Wynberg end is that the ball doesn't often go over the stumps. And that brings me into play.
Yes.
As opposed to the Calvin Grove end where there was a bit more bounce.
A little bit more bounce.
I always felt playing, especially red ball cricket here, I mean, for me, I used to nibble the ball, and if I hit that same length bowling from the Calvin Grove end, the ball would often go over the stumps.
Yep.
And that would make me less effective. And that's why I enjoyed bowling from the Wynberg end, because those stumps would always be in play.
Yes.
Batters don't know what to leave, where to play.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, that's where I probably got most of my success from. So, sorry, Dale.
No, but the science of the game is quite interesting too, because one of the reasons why I chose the Wynberg end is because obviously playing in Cape Town and South Africa, you play over the summertime. So the most common wind over the summertime is the southeaster that blows, which means that it comes in through, it cuts here, through the one side here, it swirls, and then it makes it feel as though you are bowling with the wind. It comes over your right shoulder, slightly from your right shoulder, going towards third man if there was a right-handed batter batting. So it comes from this side and blows across there, which helps that slight away swing. And it feels like you're bowling with the wind. When there's a cloudy day like this and the northwester is blowing, then you want to bowl from the other side because then the wind switches and it feels like you're bowling. So generally in summer, you're always bowling with the wind if you bowl from the Wynberg end. So the moment Vernon came on, I was like, well, now the quicker bowler has to bowl into the bloody wind. But, you know, when I look up at that over there, I think to myself, it was probably the best decision that I had ever made. So congratulations.
Thanks a lot, man. But there was actually one test match I also want to touch on, was New Zealand. I don't know if you remember or if you can
where we
cast your
bowled them out
mind back.
for nothing in their first innings.
Remember, we were out in the middle and it was slightly overcast and it was the northwester blowing that morning. And everybody said, it's the northwester, you have to bowl first.
Yes.
And I remember McCullum still coming up and having a chat to
He won the toss.
everybody out in the middle and said, okay, cool, what do we do here? And everybody said, you bowl first.
Yep.
And as we lost the toss, the two of us ran off because we knew we were going to bat first, right?
Yep.
And all we heard was, no, we're batting.
Yeah.
And I looked at Dale, I was like, no, I haven't heard that. Because now it means we have to turn back to go warm up because we were halfway up the ramp.
Yep.
And I mean, that was just a bizarre morning, wasn't it? I mean,
Yep.
what we bowled him out for, 51 or whatever it was.
47, maybe 50, something like that.
But yeah, so, I mean, special times, man. Yeah, thanks a lot. And
Yeah.
obviously, sharing a new ball with you was just amazing. I think it's something that no one can really comprehend. I mean, the two of us sitting here today, we can smile about it, we can laugh about it, we can reminisce about it. But I just feel that, geez, man, that was such an incredible time in South African cricket. I think speaking and walking down malls and, you know, being in public, people always say, hey, you, Dale Mornay, were the absolute favourites.
That's it.
Explain KISS to us.
So
Because I had this sent to me. I mean, obviously, we know what it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, Kaz, you were on set with Kaz when you made mention of the KISS abbreviation.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, KISS in short means keep it simple, stupid. KISS. And often when we as bowlers, we'd be bowling, we'd start to think ahead of ourselves. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? And this thing that we had actually developed, which we didn't do a lot of, but we did it, would often when somebody would lean over and like look as in to say, I want to initiate a conversation, yeah, should I go do something different? It'd always just be a like this.
Yeah,
and then it would just reinforce exactly what we're doing. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep doing the same thing that you're currently doing and you'll get a wicket. And it was just something that we used to do, especially for the fast bowlers would stand at mid-off or mid-on and you'd be walking back and you'd want to kind of talk to your mate and be like, what do I need to do? And we wouldn't even have to have a conversation. It would just be and then you know, okay, keep it simple, stupid, and you'd get a wicket, and there you go. And that was it. So that's how it worked.
Bit of advice for you fast bowlers: don't think too often.
Yeah.
just do. Batters will always say, we're not born to think, but they're the stupid ones because they keep getting out to us. All right, Dale, quick fire questions.
Hit me.
Who's your favorite wicket?
There was too many, so I'm going to go with my very first one, just because it got me going. Marcus Triscott, I think.
One batter you'd still love to bowl at today.
The obvious answer would probably be Muhammad Hafiz, which I got out like 16 times or something like that. I'll probably just say him because I got him out quite a couple times.
Red ball cricket or T20s?
I would go with red ball cricket, yeah.
Okay, your worst roommate on tour?
Paul Harris was my roommate when I played for the Titans. He was the best and the worst because I've never been in a room with a more messier bloke in my life. And I remember being in East London on an early Titans tour, and he was in his sleep. He just kept crouching closer and closer and closer. And we didn't have two single beds. We had one double bed which we were sharing. We had two blankets. So. And when I woke up in the morning, he's like, "Why are you sleeping on the side table?" I had my pillow on the side table because he was literally on my side of the bed. So Paul Harris.
All right then. Most naturally gifted player you've played with?
Probably goes without saying that A.B. de Villiers is one of the most... he couldn't bowl fast, but he could pretty much do nearly everything.
Your favorite ground to play at?
Newlands is right up there. Lords is special. Melbourne, amazing. There's something amazing about all of them. But Newlands is wonderful, man. Like it's 10 minutes from my house. It really is a great ground. And Supersport Park was the first ground that I ever played I made my first class debut at, which was my first professional game. And it was the first place that I watched an international game. So Supersport Park is also right up there.
Coffee, energy drinks, or Coke?
Well, I got to stop drinking Coke now because my weight just seems to be going through the roof.
What weight are you referring to?
Man, I feel like a stranger inside my own body. You know, when I played, I was 78 kgs at max. You know, now I've had a kid and I'm like, I reached 85 the other day. Okay, and I was like, who is this person? And it's purely because of just the sugar. You know, so I enjoy a good coffee in the morning. My missus, I make the coffee in the morning. So I'm trying to cut down on the Coke, but I love Coke.
Tough, eh?
Oh,
Tough.
Coke, the Bolivian Coke. Also, I mentioned Bolivia, but in Bolivia, I sound like a Coke connoisseur. But in Bolivia, they use cane sugar. Man, it's different taste, man. Out of a glass bottle, beautiful.
Julio, before I let you go, I need you to give me some advice for that kid that is starting out. So let's call it matric to academy. And then I'd also like you to reflect on advice to a young man that's a little bit more matured, a little bit more, I suppose, experienced. So a 30-year-old. And then advice for where we are today,
Oh,
retired.
wow. Jeepers, you're looking for the Jordan Peterson inside of me right now. Okay, so the youngster, I would say, don't underestimate time and self-practice. I think that's very important. You know, through winters when I was 19 at the academy, at the Northern Titans Academy, the Titans Academy, I would spend hours in the indoor nets. Off a short run, standing still with a couple balls by myself, just hitting a cone. Just knowing when to let go of the ball. There's three basic areas as a fast bowler let go of a ball. Yorker, good length, bouncer. And once you become accustomed to those three things, then you can add in all the other things, those variations within those three lengths. So you get those three things down as a fast bowler, you are done. So self-practice by yourself, okay? Don't underestimate that. As a slightly older cricketer, as you start to dip into your mid-20s, whatever it is, then it depends on who you hang around with. Those are the people that are going to have the biggest influence in your career. So pick wisely, man. If you pick the back of the bus people, and I say the back of the bus because the back of the bus is the whingers. Okay, the front of the bus are the guys that want to get off the bus the earliest because they're the ones that want to get to practice. Okay, they're the ones that mean the business. Okay, it's a metaphor, but pick the people around you that are going to have a good influence in your life, okay? Especially from the aspect of what you're doing, like cricket. Hang around the best in the business. And if you can, like shit to a shoe, my friend, you will become part of who they are, okay? And you will feed off their success and it will come into your thing. And then as you come to somebody like me, at my age right now, I have no advice, bro. I struggle to sleep at night because I've got a crying baby. I clean dirty nappies. And I think the biggest and the most key thing about it is that I do it with a smile on my face every single day, because this is the decision that we made as parents, and I'm very excited about it. So I don't know, maybe that's the answer right there, is that, you know, tackle every little mountain that you encourage or encounter with your life or your little one with a smile on your face.
Well, thanks, Julio. I think the advice I take from your last segment there is to have children a lot earlier in your life. But yeah, thanks, brother.
Thank you very much.